All right, guys, I am going to answer some questions here about Solar Amendment 1 on Florida's November 2016 ballot. This is the amendment that you are going to see in November on the ballot in Florida. Solar Amendment 1. Let's see what this is all about. All right, we got some questions here. First question, who paid for Amendment 1 on Florida's November 16 ballot? And the answer is Amendment 1 was sponsored by the big utility companies in Florida to help the big utility companies in Florida. This is all public record. You can go into myflorida.com, elections, candidates, committees, campaign finance. So you just log into myflorida.com and you will see exactly what I'm showing you here. So who's sponsoring this bill? Consumers for Smart Solar. They have $16 million, and the top donors are Florida Power and Light, Duke Energy, Tampa Electric, and Gulf Power and Light. So as you can see here, this should not be called Consumers for Smart Solar. This should be called Utilities Against Solar. There are no consumers here. These are all big monopoly utility companies sponsoring this amendment. So who's sponsoring Amendment 1? Big power companies. That's who's sponsoring them, to the tune of $16 million. Consumers for Smart Solar is also known as Yes on 1. And again, here's a little diagram that kind of shows you what's going on here. Duke Energy, FP&L, Tampa Electric, Koch Brothers, ExxonMobil, and Gulf Power. This is where Yes on 1, these are the people who are sponsoring Yes on 1. All right, let's go another question here. Do electricity customers without solar pay to subsidize electricity access for consumers with solar? And the answer, consumers without solar do not subsidize the cost of electricity access for consumers with solar. Just like SUV drivers do not subsidize the cost of gasoline access for people who ride the bus, ride motorcycles, or drive more fuel efficient vehicles. I mean, this here is pretty common sense. Just because you are using less of a good product, service, does that mean that somebody is subsidizing that access for you? You see what I'm saying? So because I'm using less electricity does not mean that somebody else is subsidizing my ability to purchase electricity. Because I use less gas does not mean that somebody who uses more gas is subsidizing my ability, to buy gas. I mean, this makes absolutely no sense, but this is exactly what you will see on the ballot. Amendment 1 basically fools people into believing that non-solar power customers are subsidizing the cost for those who do. So again, the answer is absolutely not. Customers without solar do not subsidize the cost of electricity access for customers with solar, just like SUV drivers do not subsidize the cost of gasoline access for people who ride the bus, ride motorcycles, or drive more fuel-efficient vehicles. Here we go. Next question. If more people have solar power installed on their roof, will electricity prices go up for the people who do not have solar power? So they want to know, if I don't have solar panels on my roof and my neighbor does that mean my electricity prices are going to go up? And the answer is consumers with solar power produce power and use less power. Economics 101 teaches us that an increase in supply and a decrease in demand will cause a decrease in the price of any good or service. Therefore, solar power on anyone's roof decreases electricity prices for everyone. So the answer is, the more people who have solar, the less expensive electricity is going to be for everyone. The reason why is because as supply goes up and demand goes down, the prices are going to go down. If you go to a store and they're selling some product and they're not able to sell enough of them and they keep getting more and more and more and it just keeps sitting there on their shelves, the way they're going to get rid of it is by reducing the price. They're going to decrease the price until people buy it. So the more of something there is and the less demand, the less they sell it for. All right, so let's scroll down. Lower electricity prices help consumers, not electric companies. And this is why the electric companies are spending more than $16 million misleading and deceiving voters in Florida. So the reason why you see all these big power companies spending $16 million trying to push this sham amendment, the reason why is because they are trying to protect their profits. They know very well that the more solar panels on anyone's roof, the lower electricity is going to be. They know that more solar means lower electricity prices for everyone. They know that more solar is going to make it possible for people to save money on their electricity bills. They don't want people saving money on their electricity bills. They want people spending more money on their electricity bills. That's what they want. Power companies want to make money. They make money by selling power. When people come in and put solar panels, they get to sell less power. When people come in and put via solar panels more power into the grid, that increases the supply, also decreases the demand. Therefore, they're going to have to sell their electricity for less. They don't want to sell electricity for less. They want to sell electricity for more, and that's why they want to ban solar. So there's a little link here. The statement that solar power raises electricity prices is a pants on fire lie. This was actually on PolitiFact Florida. You can go on PolitiFact.com and look at here. You can go into HelpSolarPower.org and there's a link for it. So again, the more solar power on anyone's roof, the less expensive electricity is going to be. Amendment 1 was sponsored by the big utility companies to help the big utility companies. Amendment 1 will not help solar. It will not reduce electricity prices. Amendment 1 will basically keep people from having solar power and raise everybody's electricity prices. So if you want to help solar, make sure you vote no on Amendment 1. Vote no on 1 in November. That's no on 1 in November. If you want to find out more info, please log into HelpSolarPower.org. That's HelpSolarPower.org.